You gotta learn how to be the best version of yourself. You might not catch me hopping out of helicopters or at the airport every other episode, or even doing motivational speeches in front of huge crowds yet.
And that's how I planned on starting off my video today. I recorded a bunch of other slow motion stuff as well with my son, and just making his bottles and making all his meals for him throughout the day. I thought it would be cool to share. And then I went back and I thought to myself, like, nah, that's not the best usage of time. And if I want to pump out content every day, I have to have some structure behind this. So I decided that, as I'm going to work, whatever days that may be, when I'm actually out in the city, that's when I'm focused on the motivation aspect of this channel. And I feel like when I have the time on my days off, like today and tomorrow, I should focus more on the education. So that's just a warning for you guys. This is a bit of a long one. If you have a short attention span, just skip this one. Come back and see me in a couple more days when I'll be back in the city, recording just a quick ones for you to digest.
Today's the first day that I'm not actually leaving to go to work, since I've been planning to consistently shoot videos. And I woke up this morning and I filmed a few things. I'm gonna be playing with my son and a few other videos, and I'm just thinking, like, nothing really works. So I sat around and I watched some YouTube videos about how to create the best content, the best titles, how to get more subscribers. I even almost watched stuff about how to do better transitions in storytelling. And then I just took a second and thought to myself, like, whoa. I'm going down that fucking path again that I think I talked about from the beginning. Is just worrying too much about the technical side of it, as opposed to just focusing on showing up. Like, I know how to do fancy transitions and all the other shit we see on YouTube, but I just don't feel like that's important for the message that I'm trying to deliver right now. Yesterday I put a few drone things in there, which is cool. You'll probably see more of that if it does fit in the narrative of what I'm doing and makes sense. But at the same time, I feel like with what I'm doing right now, the best thing for me to do is just to show up, sit in front of this camera, and deliver my message to you guys. And it just goes back to what my message for today was. It's just being the best version of yourself. Because I was just racking my brain earlier, even recording slow-mo of me making the baby food, cleaning up the kitchen, and doing things like that. And be like, yo, how can I make this dope? Like, make this domestic dad thing super dope and cool. But I'm like, it's not about making it cool. It's about delivering a message. And it goes back to what I said from day one when I started shooting these videos. My aim is to motivate, educate, and to inspire. You know, and I feel like when I repeated it to myself in my head, I thought about, wait a minute, it makes it easy for me to know where to go. Like, when I have principles, when I have an objective of what I'm doing with this channel, it makes it easy for me to pivot and make things on days where I may not be out in the world shooting with interesting backdrops and things like that. I can go back to my mantra, to trying to create more than I consume by any medium necessary. So we still using video today as the medium, but I can pivot to that second part of what I said I'm here for. It's to motivate. By motivation is my daily things when I'm going to work, where I stop off and I share a message with you guys. That's the motivation. That's handled. That's easy for me. But I think I also want to focus on education. I've had people ask me, like, where did my mindset come from? Where did my mindset come from? Why am I so positive all the time? How do I get to thinking about houses as liabilities and not assets? And how was I able to, sell off a lot of material things to get to where I wanted to be? Like, I didn't just wake up and think about that stuff. I continually fed my brain with information, and that's something I can share on days like today. Like, I think it's best for me to talk about the education aspect of it and talk about, like, some of the favorite books I read, movies that inspired me, and things like that. And with that being said, I think the first one that I read was Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I'm sure you guys are very, very familiar with that one. I read that one back in probably 2004 or 5 maybe. And the main reason being is that I just wasn't happy being in the military. For those of you that don't know, I served almost 10 years in the United States Air Force. Like, really loved the experience, but I came to the point to where I wanted to get out and do different things. I think when I originally joined the military, my primary objective was to get out of my small town in Florence, Alabama. Boom. Got that done. And I also wanted to travel the world, and if we're being completely honest, like, just meet girls from all around the world and do cool shit. Like, I was able to tick that box off within my first 2 or 3 years in. And then, you know, got to the point to where I started actually getting ranked and enjoying experiences and also making new friends, you know, that I still communicate to now. And also feeling like I was creating a purpose out there in the world where I chose to stay. And then it's like the more and more I read and the more quote unquote enlightened I became and my mindset changed, the more I realized that I didn't really fit in with the people that were around me on a day-to-day basis. Like, I just feel like a lot of times, you know, in any job, this is not even talking about the military. I love the military, I love my experience, but I feel like in any job that you're in, that you get comfortable in, you almost get Stockholm syndrome, where you're afraid to actually leave that job in fear of not being able to make it, right? And it was just that lifestyle that it allows you to establish. You know, you can be super comfortable, but I feel like if you really want to be great and to be happy in the long run and make a lasting impact and learn how to create value, you're gonna have to be willing to be uncomfortable for a little while, you know? So that was the thing with me. That's why I made my transition out of the military, because I had other opportunities that I wanted to do that were waiting on me to make that transition a lot easier, but I also just wasn't happy there anymore. And I feel like a lot of people are like, all right, I'm not happy in the situation, then they throw in, but I got kids, but I got a house, but I have this. That's not the way I really think. I'm like, I'm not unhappy here, so what steps can I make to make the change? You know, I see people, I've been in a lot of different jobs, even outside of the military, and I see a lot of people from the day-to-day just like miserable, like their spirit is just crushed for whatever reason. May have been because they got pulled from a position that they liked. They may have not got a chance to get, they may have not got hired for a position, internal position that they wanted or anything like that. So they're just totally disgruntled and they're bringing down the morale of everybody else around them. And I totally empathize with them and understand that. But for me, I usually give myself like, I don't know, 5 minutes to feel sorry for myself. And then I start thinking about my plan going forward to make me happy again, whether that's staying within whatever job I'm in or relationship. Oh yeah, did I mention I was running daddy daycare solo by myself today as well? Usually when I'm off from work, my girl goes into work and I look after my son. It's the best thing ever, but I think it's one of those things, another perfect opportunity I could have used as an excuse not to push forward with my goals and my dreams today. But it's not something I'm doing. He's in the next room sleeping right now. I got the monitor with me, keeping a constant eye on him. So he's doing fine, and I'll just continue to press on. I could use this time to surf YouTube or watch TV or things like that, but I don't feel like that's the best use of my time. That's why I'm sitting in front of this camera delivering this message to you guys. But anyway, back to what I was saying before. For me, while I was there in the military and in normal jobs, you know, I realized that the people around me didn't really have the same mindset as me. And you know, and I hear a bunch of different quotes that go around saying you are the sum of the 5 people or 8 people that you spend the most time with. And I truly believe that. There's been times in my life when I've been hanging around people that was, you know, in the drugs, robbing people and just up to no good, or just sitting around getting high all day. You know, I've been around it and that's what I became. No matter how headstrong I feel like I am, you know, that's what my life looked like. And I've also been the complete opposite of that and been around people that were out there, you know, as entertainers, getting their money, working hard and doing their thing. And I was able to become that and feed off of them as well. So I truly believe that. You know, and a lot of times it's tough if you're in a normal 9 to 5, you know, to find people that have the same mindset as you. So for me, I almost feel like it was impossible. But a little trick that I used, I just started reading more, just taking in more of a so-called self-help or self-improvement books, you know. So for me, you know, and in the military, it's a lot of hurry up and wait situations. So what I would do in my pocket, I'd always have a book. So anytime I was sitting around having to wait on something to happen, I would just be reading. And Rich Dad Poor Dad was one of those first books that I picked up and read. And it's one of those things where I feel like I'm not even 100% sure if the story is even true. But the premise is that with Robert Kiyosaki, he had a rich dad and he had a poor dad. His poor dad was very educated, cared a lot about grades, and you know, worked hard to get a house, provide for his family, but was always focused on the working hard aspect of it instead of the working smart, and really looked at the world through a different prism than his quote-unquote rich dad, who was more into real estate and talked about, you know, passive income and was making his properties work for him, so he was working smarter. That was the premise behind it. I think one of the main takeaways that I got from that was that the difference between assets and liabilities. So, you know, and it's something I still believe to this day. A lot of people are like, oh, my house, that's an asset. But no, it's a liability because you have to pay on it. So it was very simple the way he broke it down. He broke it down and said that assets are things that are making you money, and liabilities are things that you have to pay on. In a real life scenario and that pertains to me, I totally understand it. So for me, I always make sure I have assets that I can flip at any time where I may need money. I think the perfect example, I remember when when we first had our kid, I remember when we had the perfect example is I remember when we had our son, we want to go private, and for those of you that don't know, here in Australia, everybody pretty much gets healthcare, but you got public and private just gets access to a bit better things, as far as I understand. Honestly, I haven't been here long enough to fully grasp it. I'm just happy that anybody can get healthcare, but I digress. With that, so we decided to go private, but with private, costs came into it. So just to have the baby, even just to see the doctor before we had the baby, we had to come up with $5,000. So for me, I knew it was a huge demand for Yeezys and sneakers in general, and I had, quite a collection of sneakers. So I had a pair of Yeezys that I was sitting on that I was able to flip real quick for $1,800. Took those and flipped them. I had some other audio equipment that I wasn't using. I flipped that, and was able to come up real quick with the $5,000, and that was like ding, 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 and rung in my head to let me know to always have assets I can flip. Another example was when I decided that I wanted to start doing these daily vlogs and videos and things like that. I had a Canon, well I still have it, a Canon 700D. That's a great camera, but it doesn't shoot 4K, and that's something I know I wanted to do because I wanted to crop in and create a multi-cam effect when I was filming. So what I did was just take some old DJ equipment and also outboard gear that I had, and I was holding on just for the opportunity because I knew it was an asset, there was a market for it, and I flipped it and turned it into the camera I'm recording on now, and the lights I use here, and the backdrop that I use in my studio. So that's the way I like to think about it, and that's just a few examples of the way assets and liabilities have helped me in life, and that's one book that I read that changed it for me. And I can put my feelings aside about Robert Kiyosaki. I'm not 100% sure about him. I feel like he may be a bit of a scam artist and somebody who just prides off, who just makes his money off telling other people, how to look. I feel like he may be a bit of a scam artist for, not showing up to his seminars and leading people to believe it. Like, I fully understand that, you can't be at every seminar, but from what I've heard from a lot of people, he charges a lot of money and he doesn't show up at all, but he leads you to believe he will be there. So I get it. I get the marketing, what he does, but I'm not talking about him as a person. I'm talking about the book that he created and the one that really helped shape my life. I think I'm gonna wrap it up now because today is Domestic Daddy Day, and I hear the washer going off and to go grab those clothes and hang them up, take some other ones off the line before my son wakes up. But this is how the content is gonna go from now on. During the week, I'll be focused on the motivation aspect, just sharing a quick motivational video with you. And then on my days off, I'll be sitting down here in my home studio, sharing more longer form educational and inspirational stories for you to tie back into what I said my end goal was, to motivate, educate, and to inspire by my personal mantra, to create more than I consume by any medium necessary. I really, really appreciate you guys for watching. I appreciate the few of you that reached out to me and told me that I'm motivating you guys, and I continue to carry on, and hopefully I can grow this channel, but I'm not even focused on that. I'm just focused on showing up and executing. You guys have a great day. I appreciate it. Peace.